golly. I forgot this shirt was the one of the tight collar.
Yeah. I always know when I put them on, it's the one with the tight collar.
No, quick release.
Could you get a hold of Johnson, the youth man there? Can you get a hold of him?
I call him in the mornings and usually,
He answers?
yeah, sometimes, not always.
He's got some youth books in the box there, you know, and they're piling up on him. You know, some literature.
Okay, I'll try to remember.
Oh, golly.
Dave.
Johnson.
I think
You
you're-
took care of this, we voted on it, and you probably got that all straight.
Carol typed, I'm sorry, I didn't
Yeah, that's all,
copies made for you.
that's okay.
What kind of lotion do you have? Make your shoes.
How are you?
Oh, well, like I said, inexpensive though.
Couple more.
That's it.
Smells nice.
Thank you.
I'd like to call this meeting to order and begin with the salute to the flag.
That's behind us now.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If we put it up, we said it down there.
Ruth, would you please call the roll?
Supervisor Hawthorne,
Here.
Councilor Anthony,
Here.
Councilor Greco,
Here.
Councilor Haggerty,
Here.
Councilor Arnold,
Here.
Highway Superintendent Moyer, and Deputy Supervisor Gnoski.
Okay, the first order of business tonight is I'd like to open a public hearing. This is regarding a petition that has been prepared by Mr. Stewart. He worked real hard at this and contacted many people on Lakeshore Road, and particularly those people at the end of Lakeshore Road. We determined what the legal process would be to install a street light at the intersection of Lakeshore Road and State Route 176. Part of the legal process is to hold a public hearing and listen to anyone who wishes to be heard regarding this situation. So I would invite you at a public hearing. We ask you to come forward, give your name and address, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes. So, you're welcome.
I'm David Stewart. I've been a resident of the town of Granby all my life. Moved from River Road to Nickerville section, West Granby. Worked for Somerville Farm about 47 years. Now retired. But I thought it was a good idea to get a light at the intersection of 176 and Lakeshore Road. I don't know how they got the one on County Route 8, but that's good. And so I went down the road and got about 90% of the people. And then they give me the petition to get the ones near the intersection, which I did. So now it's up to this hearing, and I'll ask some of my neighbors to give their comments. They know how I feel about it.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening, I'm Lyle Wilcox at 133 Lakeshore Road, and I want to thank David Stewart for all his work, and I would certainly appreciate your support from you folks in supporting this issue. Obviously, from a safety standpoint, having that well lit down there certainly will help address what we think is something that's pretty important in our neighborhood, and certainly would appreciate your continued support. So thank you, and again, Dave Stewart deserves all the credit for all his hard work, and so I just want to say thanks, Dave.
Thank you. Anyone else? I have a petition here. Is there anyone else who would like to be heard? I went through last year's, the question was asked of what the cost would be, and I went through the bills for our street lighting for the this past year, and it averaged out, I believe it was just under $8, $7.97 or something like that, on average per light.
Per month.
Per month, yes. We now have 44 lights, so it's a fair-sized bill, but each one is not a whole lot. So pass that along because that question was asked, what the financial cost would be. And the cost is borne by the entire general town tax base. And that's why we're having this hearing tonight, in case someone had a problem with that. Anyone else would like to speak? If not, I guess we could have a motion to close the hearing and
Okay, I'll make the
convene
motion.
our regular meeting.
I'll make the motion to close the public hearing regarding the light on Lake Shore Road. And I'll second it.
Ruth, will you call the roll?
Supervisor Hawthorne?
Yes.
Counselor Anthony?
Yes.
Counselor Greco?
Yes.
Counselor Haggerty?
Yes.
Counselor Arnold?
Yes.
Okay, the hearing is closed. We will come back to this in just a few minutes when we get into our old business and address this in a more formal fashion at that time. In the meantime, we are now convening our regular board meeting. I would like a motion to dispense with the minutes of the previous meetings.
I'll make a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes of the previous meetings and to accept them as written. 12/13, 12/27 of 2001, 3 of 2001.
That was the organization meeting. A second
I'll
to that?
second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
I had a note from the Granby senior citizens. Hi folks, we would like to thank you for all your help and assistance during the year. It is so nice to know there are still people who care about others. It is so nice to have a hall where we can socialize. It was so nice to have you folks join us for our luncheon. We are glad you all enjoyed it. Thank you once again, Emma Martin, Granby Senior's Secretary, and that was December 2000. They meet there regularly, very regularly, and have luncheons, and we're thankful that we are able to provide that building for them. I wanted to make special note that at our organizational meeting, one of the decisions that was made was that all future meetings, including all the regular meetings, will commence at 7 o'clock. Instead of, we used to have the regular meetings at 7:30, and we've changed that to 7. And work sessions as well, unless, of course, there's something comes up for instance, at a work session, we want to start early or something like that, but the regular meetings will all start at 7. Old business. I have, perhaps it's presumptuous, but I have prepared a resolution.
Here, I'll do
Someone
it.
like to
Sure, I'd be glad to.
present it?
Okay, resolution for additional street light. Whereas on December 13, 2000, the town board of the town of Granby received, acknowledged, and filed a petition requesting installation of a street light at the intersection of State Route 176 and Lakeshore Road in the town of Granby. And whereas a public hearing was held on this matter on January 10, 2000, at which time all interested parties were heard, and therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Granby had determined that the petition was properly signed and authenticated as required by law, and that it is in the public's interest to grant the request set forth in the petition, hereby approves the petition and authorizes the installation of the street lighting equipment.
Is there a second to that resolution?
I'll second it.
Okay. I believe you have looked at the petition before. It appears to contain, at least, in fact, far more than half of the residents who are in the area that is affected. And that is what's required by law. And the other thing, we have to determine if it is in the public interest. And we've heard some testimony, and I would give my testimony that certainly it's a problem situation. It's difficult to see that intersection, especially during the
Well,
snowstorm.
both you and Ruth have lived there all your life. You ought to know how bad that corner
Ruth has
is.
mentioned it a number of times in the past, that it's a situation that should be looked at. Is there any further discussion?
No, I have no problem.
Okay, Ruth, would you call the roll?
Counselor Anthony?
Yes?
Counselor Greco?
Yes.
Supervisor Hawthorne?
Yes.
Counselor Haggerty?
Yes.
Counselor Arnold?
Yes.
The resolution is passed, and we will proceed to contact Niagara Mohawk and get that light up there as soon as, I don't know how soon, but hopefully very soon.
Thank you.
I thank you very much for all your
Yeah.
In
assistance.
July when the snow stops.
Yeah, they may do it sooner. I got no promises.
It's a hard corner to miss coming down, and you have to continue going on to Bowen's Corners.
Or into the neighbor's lawn there. That has happened many a times. So, very good. We advertise for the position of constable. The town law says that the constable should be a resident of the town. We did not get any applicants, and I talked to the attorney for the Association of Towns, Kevin Crawford. He indicated that there is another option if some of the towns have done it, is to pass a local law that would open it up to persons who are not residents of the town. In other words, we are superseding the residency requirements of a certain section of the town law by passing our own local law. And we decided that we'd better do this because it could be months before we find someone from the town who is properly trained. It has to be certified peace officer. So we have started the process and scheduled the public hearing for January 24th at 7 o'clock. Just wanted to bring you up to date on that. And I asked Ruth to re-advertise for that position because in the past we advertised, we said it must be a resident. This time she indicated that non-residents could apply. So we do have 2 applications from non-residents, and I'm wondering about interviews. I also have 2 people who have not got back to me yet, but have both indicated an interest in the planning
Are they
board.
qualified, Nancy? Ones that...
I believe so. At least one of them is. Yeah. You'd have to look at the...
I go along with your, excuse me, I go along with your first statement. If we have to re-advertise it.
I think, in all fairness, because there might be someone who would have applied if they had known.
Right. And I was just going to ask Ruth, you've been putting it in that ad section, correct? Yeah, okay, so I would go along with that, and then set up interviews as, you know, Bob will stay on, you know, we just have to let him know ahead of time.
Yeah.
He expressed he only wanted to do it for a month.
Yes, I
Well,
would...
I've talked to him, I mean, if we have to stretch,
No more than 2.
yeah.
Yeah, we need to look into outsourcing.
I'm presuming that we might pass this local law on the 24th.
Yeah.
And
How soon can you get it in the paper and have, you know, so good, I guess?
she's already put the ad, sent the ad to the
Yeah.
paper.
Oh, okay.
And I guess the question is, when would you want to schedule interviews?
You like to schedule before the 24th?
On or before?
Okay. Oh, when's the ad coming out?
Saturday.
Okay.
Well, we couldn't do it next week then. I mean, we wouldn't even have a response. It'd have to be the night of the...
I think that maybe the night of the...
If we had some.
Is it possible to come a little early?
Yeah, sure.
6:30?
Yeah.
That'd be
What,
good.
on the 24th?
On the
Yeah.
24th?
Schedule them before the work session.
I'll call them and ask if they wish to.
Maybe we might have to come maybe like 6 o'clock even, too, depending on how many people you might have.
Depends if I can get these two planning board candidates. I'd like to get their interviews out of the way too. But let's tentatively plan for interviews at 6:30 on the 24th.
You want to do planning board and constable, you think? You're not,
Well, we don't,
It depends on,
we don't have anybody for the constable at this point.
no, but she mentioned planning board. I was just, I'm just thinking, you figure even 10 or 15 minutes if you had 3 or 4 people.
Well, we'll see how many we get, and then we'll determine what time, and I'll get a hold of you, I guess. Missing here. Fuel bids. That's an item of old business. Ruth? We re-advertised for the fuel.
We've had fuel bids from Glider Oil and from Babcock Oil. And for 18,000 gallons of low sulfur on-road winterized diesel fuel and the electric pump to be installed and maintained by Better, Glider Oil has bid, well, it's based on the rack price of the day, which on the day he did it, which was November 30th, was 1.1240 cents plus a markup of 10 cents, making it 1.224.
124?
Yes. Approximately 10,000 gallons of number 2 fuel oil, based on the Hess rack price of the day, was 1.112 and an 8-cent markup, making the price 1.1920. And then 4,500 gallons of unleaded gasoline and supply a 300-gallon skid tank with electric pump, again based on the Hess rack price of the day. The price was 0.94850 and a markup of 0.065, making a 1.0135 total, again based on November 30th.
And that was
That was from Glider Oil,
the last one was for
unleaded gas.
unleaded. Okay.
And from Babcock Oil Company, the 18,000 gallons of low sulfur on-road winterized diesel fuel was 0.9790 plus a markup of 0.0775. And he submitted the bid on January 8th, so I don't know exactly what day he was getting that rack price, but making a total of 1.0565. Okay, the 10,000 gallons of number 2 fuel oil was 0.9620 plus a markup of 0.0775, making a total of 1.0395. And then on 4,500 gallons of unleaded gas, 0.8445 with a 10-cent markup, making it 0.9445.
That's a given.
Yeah.
That's a given that looks like Babcock is substantially cheaper.
And all three, isn't it?
Yeah, all three.
15 cents there.
I think the gas for Glider was less. The markup on
Yeah,
that
I don't
was
know, you can,
6.5.
they just round it off, I can understand it.
Babcock was 10, and the gas.
The markup was, but the bottom price was substantial, 6 cents cheaper.
Yeah.
But again, that's based on rack price.
That was rack price.
Well, one of them had a rack price from November and one was December, so I think we need to look at the amount of markup. The markup price for the diesel and the fuel oil, Babcock was lower on both of those.
Right.
And the gas was, Glider was a little less,
Mm-hmm.
about 3.5 cents.
talking about the date you submitted it, but.
Oh, okay.
The rack price will vary depending on the day that they get the quotes.
Right. Well, it looks like Babcock quoted at a closer date, right?
Yes,
Of 108
I
and
think Glider left his as his original bid were,
of 1230.
because he had included the markups on his at that point.
Right.
Babcock had, that's why we bid.
Babcock did it on 108, which was Thursday. And
So I think if
Or
we look strictly
couple
at
days
the
ago.
markup, we can
Yeah.
tell who would be the
today's what
So
today's
you're,
2 days ago, and he's substantially cheaper. But
so you would determine that that is the fair comparison?
So I would think
Using the markup.
markup price would be the fair comparison and not the rack price, because the rack price is going to vary daily. Where the markup is going to be what they charge us
Consistently.
to haul it year round.
Right.
He's still moving there.
where's all our gasoline going? Where's all our gasoline going, Lynn?
Just in our gas vehicles, I guess,
2 pickups, 1 pickup,
pickups. We have 3 pickups.
3 pickups?
We have a tractor, we have, what else is gas out there? Sweeper, we have a brush chipper.
The brush hog, the chipper is gas too?
The brush chipper is diesel.
Diesel?
But we don't nearly as much.
Oh, this is for 4,500 gallons.
Now, we downgraded the amount because I went through and was figuring out what we used in last year's. It wasn't as much as we anticipated.
Right.
Oops. What do I do?
We don't use too much gasoline as opposed to the diesel
We're
anyway.
going more diesel.
Yeah.
That's the way it stands. Babcock's.
So what you come up with, did you round them off, Dave?
Yeah, we can do that. I'll,
Just 5/10 or 2/10, it gets my BB.
okay.
I think if you disregard the rack price because they're not equal, because they weren't, the rack price is going to be the same for the vendor on any particular day. They just quoted different days because that's when they get their bid.
Right.
Okay.
Look at the markup.
Okay.
I think that's,
Well, let me do that then, Lynn. For Glider Oil, their markup off the rack price was on the low sulfur off or on-road winterized diesel fuel was 0.10, and compared to Babcock Oil, who was 0.0775, or about 3/4 of a cent, and they were a full penny, or 10 cents actually versus 7 cents actually. That's how that works out. And then the number 2 fuel oil, Glider was 0.08, where Babcock was 0.0775, or 0.25% they're off lower. And on the unleaded gasoline, Glider was 0.065, where Babcock was 0.10. So that gives you a good representation as to what their markup. They're all going off the rack price of the day, I guess. So that's what I guess, like Lynn indicates, that's the important thing you want to look at, because the fluctuation in gas prices or fuel prices is important.
So what do we look at? The extra
Mark.
10 cents they charge on, or whatever it
Yeah,
is?
that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay,
Exactly.
That's what you just gave.
okay.
One wants 10 cents, the other wants 7 3/4 of a cent, and on 18,000 gallons of low sulfur, which is our biggest commodity, obviously.
Right.
Our heating oil is only 0.25% there, 0.08 versus 0.0775. The biggest difference being gasoline, where Glider is going at 0.065 markup versus Babcock being 10 cents. So it's
What about the fuel oil we use for our trucks, though? Babcock was cheaper, am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Those are the two biggest.
2.25 cents
Yeah, so
per
the-
gallon. That's our biggest commodity, is
Yeah, the two
our
fuel.
on-road fuel is what, and both our fuels, our diesels is what we have the biggest usage, and that's what I wondered where our gasoline usage was, really. 4,500 gallons of gasoline over the whole year, and that's our mowers and,
Yeah, that's everything.
yeah.
That's, I know those bills aren't very high. What would you like to do?
I'd like to, I assume we need to accept a bid here.
And Babcock's including the pump too, Dave, right?
Yes, they're both including the pumps?
Because I think, who do we got now, Glider?
We've had a glider for quite a few years. Haven't we, Lynn, had a glider for a few
Yes,
years?
yes.
Yes, quite a few years.
Well,
But this is the point of advertising, too.
well, it's nice to let a local guy in if we
Is
can.
this all or nothing? I'm
Pardon?
just talking here, I was under the intention that we could split these.
Yeah, can't we? I mean, can we split them? I mean,
Well,
we
I was
bid them
hoping-
separately.
Because each one was a separate item.
Right.
Listed separately on the...
No, I presume that we would look at each one separately.
Keep Glider for gas.
You wonder if the vendor's gonna do that, though.
Well, that's what Lee was just saying, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
He might not do it.
Yeah, I would assume you're bidding on the three commodities and thinking, you're not gonna, but I may be wrong.
We did not put it as one package, we put it as three separate.
Again, yeah,
It went out as three separate. Yeah, but in the past, it's always been one or all two, hasn't it, Lynn?
Well, in the past, glider's always been...
One
sold for
person
all
has always
three.
got it.
All right.
There's 3 different delivery vehicles coming here, right?
Because I was under the impression if a vendor wanted to bid just one item, say just strictly gas, that he would be able to do that.
I think that's why we did it that way.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, how
So
about,
you could give the 2 to one and the gas to the other.
well, Babcock's price is of 108.01 here, was substantially lower than
Yeah.
2 weeks ago of 12.30 for glider oil. I mean, he's 6 cents a gallon cheaper on gasoline, and that's the only commodity that he was even close to being low on.
Well, 6 cents, but you're still looking at the rack price.
That's right. I understand that. Yeah.
With the markup, it would be, what, 3.5 cents cheaper.
that's quite a bit of difference.
Yeah. Yeah, the rack price is almost a dime. And he's 7 cents cheaper.
Can you put it out to them and see if they want to?
We need to lock into something
Yeah, I
here.
think we should accept and presume that, we bid it that way, and there's 3 separate bids. So
Okay.
let's look at each bid and
Okay.
decide who should be awarded to.
All right.
I would suggest,
I'd like to make a resolution then that we accept the bids for low sulfur fuel and number 2 fuel oil from Babcock Oil Incorporated,
I'll second.
and for unleaded gasoline from Glider Oil Company Incorporated.
I'll second that.
each of those being the low bids.
Yes.
Do we have a second? Any more discussion?
No, shouldn't be a problem that way, right, Lynn, as far as you know? There's a separate tank for gas, and separate pump and everything, so.
I see no problem with it. Ruth, would you call the, by the way, I did check with, the question arose in one of our last meetings about what some of the farmers and businesses do in arrangement to pay in advance, and they said no, that cannot be done by a municipality.
Can't be done.
I suspected that was the case because they're very particular about that we have the product before we pay for it. And, but we checked. Okay, Ruth, would you call the roll?
Supervisor Hawthorne.
Yes.
Counselor Anthony.
Yes.
Counselor Greco.
Yes.
Counselor Haggerty.
Yes.
Counselor Arnold.
Yes.
Okay.
Nancy, what you just said, I mean, we can't look forward to save money for the town by investing in, obviously, futures here.
Right. That's a no-no. Which,
Even if we lock into a gallons, I mean, we
this
want
is
to buy...
what if they don't deliver? That is, it's consistent with the whole policy of town municipalities and how they spend money is, that's why we have to have this package of receipts and delivery slips and so forth. They always want you to be sure you've got it before you pay for it. So I wasn't at all surprised. They don't gamble much with taxpayers' money.
Well, I didn't
Yeah.
think we were gambling when you
Well-
lock in.
They consider that it would, since you don't have it in hand, you shouldn't be paying for it. So, the company could go out of business or whatever.
On that- Excuse me, along that same line, I talked to the person who does the bids for glider, and I asked him about the possibility of locking into one price for the year. And he said he knew that some people were able to do it for residential, but he didn't think it was available to commercial. He wasn't aware of it, and that's all the information I got on that.
Okay. Which is a little different from, but,
Well, I mean, that's exactly what we were just talking about, yeah.
well, what I asked him about was the idea was presented of if you pay in advance, you can get a better price. And they said no on that.
Yeah, well, that now I remember what Dave was saying. You were talking about doing it back in September, Dave, or something.
Sure.
Earlier.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
try to get a
I
better
mean,
price.
like
on it.
last summer, lock into next year's prices, which...
Yeah.
That might be another possibility, and I didn't ask him about that.
Yeah, I mean, instead of us doing this in January at the peak, let's
Like do it in July.
do it in July, you know?
So wouldn't it have to end of that fiscal year, wouldn't it? You have to redo it?
Well, I don't know, Len. I mean, we're looking for a year contract with these people. Let's go from July to July with this contractor. You know, we want to buy fuel. I mean, those have to be fiscal year end for us. I don't think. We need to look at that some more. That's,
Could have a carryover, I would assume, somehow. You get it on a July to July.
This is quite possible. I don't know, I just raised a question because I wasn't sure.
and because I'm sure that these oil companies are able to lock into a price. If they know they've sold X amount of gallons over the next year, you would think they would lock their supplier in. You know, it's a cascading thing, obviously, but might keep some of these oil companies honest a little bit. I don't know.
The fluctuations these days.
Yeah.
So,
Well, unfortunately, energy's going the other way.
okay. Each year we have a contract with the Oswego Hospital. I'll let Lynn explain that.
The contract wording-wise hasn't changed at all since we first started this number of years ago, probably 5 years ago, 4.5, something like that. There were two minor changes this year, and it has to do with the fee schedule. And the two items that changed were for supervisor training, which we have to have 2 supervisory people in this program, and then the employee training, which is for everyone else. Each of those prices rose $5, so the supervisor training is now $30 per participant. The employee training has gone up to $15 per participant. The only way this would affect us is if we had to train a new supervisor or train a new employee. Otherwise, we've already borne that cost. So those are the only changes to the contract.
This is for, just to refresh our memories, this contract covers,
Oh, the drug and alcohol testing that is required for CDL licenses.
it's required. So,
It's mandated by the federal government.
and that asks for your signature in there?
Yes.
Okay, could I have a motion to authorize the highway superintendent to enter into the contract with the Oswego Hospital for the drug and alcohol
I'll make that
Justin.
motion.
A second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Question? Comments? Okay, Ruth, call the roll.
Supervisor Hawthorne?
Yes.
Counselor Anthony?
Yes.
Counselor Greco?
Yes.
Counselor Haggerty?
Yes.
Counselor Arnold?
Yes.
Okay. Gentleman stopped in the office the other day and asked if it were, if he and his son could have permission. It was Mr. Whiten's, and would have permission to tap for maple syrup at the Lewis and Merritt cemeteries. I told him I would discuss it with the board. I have no idea what. We did do a search, and we love this indexing that we now have because we can find out whether this has ever been discussed at a board meeting before, and
We did it a couple of years ago, didn't we?
well, 1978, that was before your time.
Yeah.
Maybe there's been some other discussion, but we did not find anything else in the minutes. And all we found at that point, April 1978, was that a complaint was made because this was being done, now not necessarily by the same people, and whoever was doing it was asked to stop. We did not find anything that that person had even asked for permission to do it. And there should have been something in the minutes.
What harm would it do?
Didn't you discuss this before,
No.
though? I thought we had something up on it.
I never knew anybody wanted to tap trees in a cemetery.
Not a big
Not in the 13 years I've been here.
Okay.
So I don't
I'd
know.
like,
What's your feeling about it?
I would look to the floor, Dave Stewart, do you ever remember of anybody tapping trees in a cemetery?
No, I don't.
And here's a guy that's obviously been in the town longer than any of us in this room, I think.
I know the Whitmans, and they're very reliable neighbors. Very honest people.
Yeah.
They indicated to me that it's not something that leaves any refuse or anything.
I've seen
No, it
in
doesn't.
some cemetery, but
It doesn't, but,
wasn't in this town.
The inverse of that is that people feel that a cemetery is kind of a
Sacred ground.
sacred place, and my dad tapped trees, and I mean, you're a little intrusive in that you tap trees and you run lines and you're walking around in obvious disregard for what's there. And that's my own feeling, but I mean, when you think of a cemetery, you don't see a lot of people doing other than paying homage to people in a
Merritt
cemetery.
Cemetery's not got trees in the cemetery. It surrounds the cemetery. You're not going into the cemetery. Merritt Cemetery does not have trees in the cemetery.
He indicated they were
It's
outside the
the
fence.
surrounding.
Okay, well, that's a
But in
different
the
thing, Rose.
Lewis Cemetery, they are within
Yeah.
the fence.
In the Lewis, but Merritt Cemetery, there's no trees at
Okay.
all in the center.
The perimeter trees then you're talking about.
They're round.
Yeah,
No, you
Lewis
mean
Cemetery,
outside
it would
the
be
cemetery.
wherever.
Yeah, yeah. I interpreted it to be, throughout the cemetery
No,
where
no.
everybody's, going in there.
There's no,
That's my only concern.
there's no large, Nancy, there's no large trees
Not
in
at
Merritt Cemetery.
But at Lewis.
Cemetery there is,
Yeah,
But Lewis, they'd be,
going everywhere.
all over in Lewis Cemetery, but Merritt Cemetery is not, because I know, I mowed both of them, I know.
Well, I don't have any
Sunny
strong
outside.
feelings one way or the other. It's, I think it's a point well taken. I don't know why the complaint was made back in 1978. It may be for the reasons that you mentioned.
I'm sure it was.
I wouldn't allow it in Lewis Cemetery because there's a lot of trees. You know, Morris, you helped trim them in Lewis Cemetery.
if you don't do it in one, you shouldn't do it in the other.
Yeah,
My only concern was that if maybe you allow it and then someone says, well, why didn't you allow me to do it?
Or somebody decides to walk in there and they gotta cross a line because it's across the entranceway.
And this is someone coming forward asking for
Just
permission
ask
to
it.
do that.
It's not a
Well,
big thing.
Which, I mean, if
How
it's
long does tapping go on?
from about now till you get, spring comes along. They'll start tapping, you can start tapping trees anywhere here in January and goes through till March. So once it gets warm weather. But I think the important thing here to mention is that are we talking perimeter trees around the outside of the cemetery or throughout the cemetery? And if this person's asking to tap the perimeter trees, which are on the roadways, which are big, huge old maples, I mean, I don't see, that's really not intruding on the cemetery itself. My feeling is, and that if you have many big maple trees throughout the cemetery and people are walking all over through and tapping trees and with disregard for the grave sites, I wouldn't agree with it. But the perimeter of the trees, I would. I mean, if they're on the roadways and it's not intrusive on the cemetery in general, or in, you know.
I think at Lewis, most of them, you would have to access those trees through the cemetery, even though they are pretty much, many of them are along the perimeter.
Took a lot of those out on the road, didn't we?
Yeah.
County did, yeah.
Yes, Lewis Cemetery, we took them out.
You would have to access them pretty much through the cemetery.
Well,
I'm sort of inclined to agree with Dave. I don't know, I might be afraid to open up a can of worms here. You know, you got to restrict it, make sure you're here. No, I'm a little reluctant to go on it.
people own plots of land in cemeteries, and I assume that the trees go along with those plots of land. And
Well, that's what I say.
I've never seen them run
it's
in any
a
cemetery I've ever been in.
no.
No.
If it's around the perimeter, I would say, you're not in.
I've seen them along a roadway of some cemetery somewhere. I don't even know if it's in our county, but it wasn't inside the fence. It was on the outside of the fence where there was some big trees.
Do we have a motion to deny the request?
Well, we have to make a motion to deny it?
Yeah.
Is the request to be within the cemetery?
That's where the trees
Pretty
are.
much, it would be.
Yeah, I would.
It's primarily for
We can deny the request with the words that say that anything within the properties of the cemetery are not open to the public for, obviously.
Within the fenced area.
Yeah, within the fence or whatever, within the boundaries of it. I mean, the exterior perimeter, whatever you want to mount, fine.
Okay.
However we word that, I would ask that we denied, tapping trees within the cemetery, yes.
I prefer just to deny it, personally, just to deny it without opening up a can of worms.
Okay.
I'll
fine.
second it.
Okay. Ruth, would you call the roll?
Supervisor Hawthorne?
Yes, I would vote to deny.
Vote to deny. Okay. Counselor Anthony?
I'm kind of hung up on it. I'll go along with them.
Yes. You want to deny?
Yeah.
Yes to deny. Greco?
Yes.
Counselor Haggerty?
Yes.
Counselor Arnold?
Yes, tonight.
Okay. Next time someone asks, we will have it in the minutes that of what our discussion was, and that gives some precedent.
For the future, I guess, or something else.
Okay. Also, I put in your mailbox, there was a request from Judge Winkworth regarding the 3 conferences that he would like to go to this year. This is according to our policy, which has been circulated to the...
I'm on that one, he says that the New York Magistrates Conference in September to October, it says the conference, the state of New York pays for one night and the mileage. Is that the one that also the clerks go to?
Usually they go. They didn't go this year.
But in the past they've gone. I have no problem if he wants to go right now to the one in New York. Do we have to approve all 3
You don't
of
have
these
to
right
approve
now?
all of them. You could have, if you have questions to ask about the other ones, we could,
Yeah. I would go along with the New York one right now, and I personally would like to talk to the judge about the other 2. Me personally, that's my thoughts on it.
What's the difference between the Association of Towns in February and then going back to New York?
That's what I want to find out.
That would be the second
no,
trip.
no, it's not New York City. It's in the Catskills. The one at the New York State Magistrates Conference is usually held in the Catskills.
Like I said, so everybody's clear. I would go along with the New York one right now, and I personally would like to get a more report from the judge on the other thing.
4-day meeting?
Yeah.
My question, I guess, would be on the second one, the OCA training in St. Lawrence.
I did find out that he does not teach. That question, I misspoke on that one. He does teach at some local schools, but not at that conference.
Okay.
So that's a training he receives?
Apparently.
Boy, he'll be so qualified, he could run for...
Supreme Court Justice.
Right.
Okay, so what are you looking for here, Nancy, to approve?
I guess we need to at least approve the first one because he needs to get the reservation in.
Okay.
I'll make a motion
you choose
to
to.
approve the first one. And like I said, I would personally want to confer with the judge on the others.
Yes.
Okay,
I
is there a
would concur.
second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Why is it we have two judges, and why is it one's always traveling and the other one doesn't have to go
The
to
other one
school?
has the same options.
I want
I
to know
don't know.
why one judge is being so, going to all these classes, and the second one does not attend to any of them, because,
I don't know, you'd have to ask him.
Right. The other judge does have a full-time job, so it might be a conflict.
I think that
don't
makes a
know.
big
well, then he's not learning much about being a judge.
Well, he has received his
He's not going to classes.
his initial training, and what he's received above and beyond that, I don't know.
I can
That's
find out.
traveled all over the world with us, but the other one's not doing nothing.
I would say 8 to 12.
Okay, can we call the roll?
Council Anthony?
Just for the first one, yes.
Council Greco?
Yes.
Supervisor Hawthorne?
Yes.
Council Haggerty?
Yes.
Council Arnold?
Yes.
Okay.
Nancy, can I ask about my trip?
Yes.
Okay.
Does it make sense? Now, does this make sense, guys? Does it make sense? that
We'd have to talk to them. I don't know why one goes, one doesn't go. You know,
No, it's,
they have the opportunity, you know, we would afford them the same opportunity to request. Ruth?
okay, Ruth.
In April, the town clerks have a convention. This year, we're having our convention in Buffalo, and I'd like to ask permission to go to the town clerks convention in Buffalo.
I'll so move on that.
I'll second that one.
When is it, Ruth?
I believe it's in April. It's either April or early May. I think it's April.
I know that Ruth always comes back with a lot of information, and which she uses in her day-to-day work, so I'm sure that's very much worthwhile. We'll call the roll on that one.
Councilor Anthony?
Yes.
Councilor Greco?
Yes.
Supervisor Hawthorne?
Yes.
Councilor Haggerty?
Yes.
Councilor Arnold?
Yes.
Okay.
We're done with this?
I left mine.
Since Judge Winkworth is going to New York City, we have an opportunity to appoint a delegate, and apparently, as far as I know, he's the only one who is going.
Ed?
We did that a few years ago. And at least he can go to the meeting and come back with any information. You know. I'll make a motion.
We need to send in the form to the Association of Towns indicating who our delegate is quite soon, so
I'll make a motion on that answer.
I didn't ask him if he was willing to do it, but I will.
Well,
He
he's
wasn't
done it in the
today.
past. I'll make a...
I'm sure he would.
He was here the other day. When I was here, I couldn't
These
stop.
little trips.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second on that one? That we designate Judge Winkworth to be our
It's the way that we're going to...
official delegate. Well,
I'll
he's the
second
one
it.
who votes on the various
Yeah,
items.
it's an official pass.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. I did read through some of the resolutions that are being proposed. One of them I thought was particularly interesting was that the Association of Towns is urging the legislature and the governor to extend to all towns the option through adoption of a local law to assume the responsibility and authority already enjoyed by cities and villages to set speed limits on roads within their jurisdictions, within the limits as defined in Section 1662A of the Vehicle and Traffic Law. This is something where we have had many requests, and we referred them to the state, and at least one of them, or two of them, we're waiting a year and a half now.
Have you,
With no response.
Not that this will necessarily make it happen, but this is kind of a lobbying effect on effort on the part of the Association of Towns.
have you had a chance to look through all of those yet? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is there any others that would be, we can modify?
I'll pass it around, and if you have any feelings, we can suggest to him what we'd like him to,
Right, okay.
how we would like him to vote.
That's not till February 18th. Okay.
We'll take care of that. County legislators, we have two here tonight. Mr. Boynton?
Well, I don't want to say much tonight. We have a new chairman of the legislature. Perhaps he'll grow a little hair. Lose more.
You'll lose more.
And I want to congratulate him. And he's bitten off quite a bit to chew on this year. He's going to get a little unity there. And I wish him the very best of luck in doing that and bring us all together again. And we did settle a contract.
Yeah.
Right, Rick? Yeah, okay. You people are happy?
I gotta get CSEA.
Good. But we still have one contract to go, and that, but I wish more is all left in the world.
Thank you for it.
I thank you.
Thank you. Don't say too much.
We would also like to congratulate you on your
Thank you. Congratulations,
honor.
Morrison's.
Thank you, Floyd. I appreciate that. We've had a good chairman for 2 years. He's done a great job for us, and I look forward to working with him as I have in the past. And as we all know, we have a lot of business, a lot of unity to establish in the legislature, and I'm hoping I can help do that along with Floyd and the rest of the legislators. I think we can do that. We will be having our release of our committees probably by next week, and hopefully that will reflect some of our initiative to do just that. I'd like to also announce the fact, and tonight, to the fact that Lyle Young was appointed to the County Planning Board last month from Granby here, and I'd like to wish Lyle the best. He's now a member of the Planning Board, and tomorrow at 11 o'clock we're going to be groundbreaking the senior housing at the Minetto site. It's to start construction in the next few months, hopefully. That site has been moved closer to the road. The building that you see that was supposed to be the senior housing building is inadequate, has to be torn down, will be torn down during the summer, the spring and summer months. So that project there, hopefully that site will start looking better and something will come out of it and improve the looks of the whole area. The heritage application for the power plant, that is the addition to the Site Energies plant, is now being reviewed by the IDA, and I'd like to just spend a few seconds on as a member of the IDA myself, is the fact that General Electric is a partner. It hasn't been said that much about it, but General Electric is building new turbines, 2 turbines, which we are 1,100 megawatts now. We'll be going to additional 800 with just 2 units. New technology that's first of its kind in the world. It'll be on display here all during its course of construction, and then of course on its initial running. We'll be bringing people from all over the world to see this power plant perform, so it's going to be quite an honor to have that here in our county. So that's moving, and that's something that's going to happen hopefully in the spring of the year. The construction will start. I believe it's going to be about a year to construct. So there's a lot of things here taking place in our community, and I'd like to wish the board a happy new year, certainly a healthy new year. And we got $214,000 in sales tax this year, and I'm happy for everybody here too. I hope we can make more next year. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Thanks here. I have a report from the dog control officer. Number of complaints 30, number of dogs picked up 2, number of dogs released 7, number of dogs on hand 3. Total monthly expenses was for food $39.95. Mileage was 357 miles. Impoundment fees collected $10. Adoption fees $30. We also spent $100 for kerosene. That's from Gail Kalin. And I have a report from our historian. My report for December is as follows. Workshop on December 13th to discuss grant writing. Met with Kent Stutz for to address the files management grant that she is going to be working on. And she spent the weekend taking pictures of barns in the area, which is a special project that our historian is doing. Assessors, we appointed a new assessor at our last meeting, and he has started and has been out there snapping pictures and in here every day, as far as I know so far. Planning board?
Unless Lyle's got something.
Okay.
I see
ZBA?
they have a schedule today, the planning board, two articles on every month, what date they're going to have.
2 meetings, yeah.
Yeah, there's 2,
Is it in the Valley News?
yeah, it's in the Valley News.
I didn't get a
We
chance.
have those schedules too. I can give you a copy.
Yeah, well, I'm cutting them right out, leave them on my desk.
They do. They meet the first Tuesday of each month for the regular meetings, and then generally it's the 4th Tuesday to work on the comprehensive plan.
Lyle, is there an end in sight for the comprehensive plan?
What's that?
Is there an end in sight for the comprehensive plan?
Oh, yes.
And
We're pushing it just fast we can go. As fast as we can push the county, let's put it that way.
and now you're part of the county, so you can't throw it all on them.
That's why I gave it
Give them a neck brace, right, to keep your head up.
got a direct connection.
I mean, within the year 2001? Or is that
The county
too?
says not, but we're pushing for it.
Great,
Okay.
thank you.
Their workload is what's the limitation. One of the county planners who was working with the board left for another job, so you bring somebody in new.
It's 2 we've lost already. 3? Oh, all right, 2, I know.
Yeah, I think that has been a significant setback there.
Thank you.
The CBA, is there anything going on there? I've not heard from the youth director, highway superintendent.
Oh, it's snow every day.
No, just occasionally.
I say my report for December will sound just like the one for November, and I could boil it down to 3 words: snow, 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 because I think that's all it's been doing. I went back and counted, and we plowed on 25 out of the 31 days last month, and some of those days, 9 of those days, we plowed from like 3 in the morning till 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, so they were long days. When we weren't plowing new snow, we've been trying to get the banks pushed back and clear the intersections out somewhat, but our time to do that has really been limited because every day it seems like there's more snow that we have to take care of before we can start worrying about the other stuff that's been there
And
a while.
replace mailboxes, right?
And doing some of that too. And then, of course, with the additional plowing, we have more service work and repair the sanders. We have some flats to work on. Cutting edge, the blades you have to change, more vehicle maintenance you go because of more miles, the more fuel we're going through. And we've been mixing salt and sand to replace what we've used so far. So we've, what I call more like an old-fashioned winter, and hopefully it's on the downward end.
It's almost over with.
Dreamer.
Dreamer.
I have a report from the Code Enforcement Office. This is for the year. And it is a total report. Would you people like me to make a copy so you can see? It's got every permit listed.
I would like that. I don't know about anybody else. Good idea.
And total number of permits, 164. Total building cost, $3,531,530, and permit fees of $8,955.
So those building permits, that's increased quite considerably over the years than what we used to have. And that's correct, Dave? How many did you used to have?
Great many of them.
Well, it's probably doubled in 15 years, yeah. I mean, it's up to 3 million, yeah, $1.5 million is when I was doing it. So yes, it has. It's almost doubled in 10 years.
It's interesting that he doesn't have conventional construction of homes as separate. They're all under general construction. So as you look through the list, you see $1,500 or you see $140,000.
Yeah, that's additions versus new homes, and
Right.
it's all lumped together, but
Maybe we can, they're still working on refining that program to provide the kind of information that's useful to us in terms of making decisions. Okay. I have been working on closing out the year, the financial records for the year, and things are going very well. We've done very well this year. I've provided to you this time 2 reports. One is just the revenues, and the reason I gave you that separate one is because the other report, which is the one I sometimes give to you, the budget comparison, the revenues do not include December.
Right.
But it does include all of the expenditures. So you can see that we are, if you look at the budget comparison report and look under expenditures, that we are under budget in every instance, which is the way we're supposed to be.
Nancy, do you know, as long as I've been on this board, people still don't understand what we do. I still get calls when they get their taxes. Do you know, I am so proud because on the tax bill, we only have general and highway. The fire department, I wish everybody's listening, the fire department has their own commissioner. We have no say in the fire taxes.
Right.
We have no say in the county taxes. The only thing that we have a say in is general and highway. And you look at your general taxes, it is nothing in Granby. We are doing so well in Granby with our general taxes, and I'm very proud of this board. And when I got my taxes this year and people come to me and say, I said, look at the general tax. This is what we work, that's what we work with. We have no say in the county. We have no say in the fire department. They have their own bosses. And I think, don't you think we're doing well, guys? Thank you, thank you.
And so are you. I'm proud of the way the board is. I want to say, and I think Floyd will say it too, that the fact you take that sales tax dollars and put it in your budgets and use it like you do is something good, because a lot of towns are not doing it.
Just look at it.
Every bit of it is, and I could go back and see what how much we tax people before the sales tax and how much we tax them now. It's a substantial decrease in the actual property tax because of the sales tax. It's all being used for that purpose.
We can't hardly go any lower in general. We are low in our general tax.
Well, it is now.
Rosie, you gonna run again?
No,
You just got re-elected, so you don't need to.
no, I'm a person that tells you the way it is. And that's maybe why Nancy works very hard. I have to give Nancy credit for a lot of this. She's here day and night. And hey, I'm just proud of it.
But I
No,
think
I don't want to run again. No.
Yeah, 3 years to go now.
A lot of the decisions are made by other people. I mean, the highway superintendent and the department heads and so forth, and I think everyone is working together very well, and I try to encourage people to think in terms of value, and getting the best possible value.
They look at their taxes, and I get complaints about the fire tax. The fire tax up here is not much, mine is not much lower than our highway taxes. I mean, but that's not our fault. They have 5 commissioners, just like 5 of us. It's nothing to do with us. And I'm proud of this board.
Thank you,
Well,
Rose.
thank you.
Thank you.
Bring me to my lunch tomorrow.
Okay.
My next job will be to prepare the annual report, which is due the end of February, and I'm ready to start that now, so that should go very well. Okay, any reports from board members regarding
No,
any
I
of
don't have
your
any.
liaisons? Not a motion to pay the bills.
Well, Rick, you got the look
Rick,
at
you
it.
didn't read it.
I'll make a motion to approve the payment of the town bills as audited for the abstract 1A-01 in the amounts of $10,756.49 from general, $7,372.92 from highway, $86.53 from Willow Bob Lighting, $125.23 from Water North, and $544.92 from Water South.
I'll second it.
That amount from Water South includes an interest payment on their water line, which is very close to another year or so, and that will be
Almost paid off, right? Yeah.
And then what's that, repairs on the other one, right, most likely?
No, actually, the other amounts are the fees that we pay for Metropolitan Water Board, and those have gone down somewhat, I noticed this year, seems to be. It was 125, and then I can't remember what the
Okay.
other one was. Okay? Do we have a second on that?
Yeah, I second it.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Nancy, are you going to read off the organization who's going to be liaison?
I didn't even bring it in with me.
Yes, sir.
You might as well. Why not?
The appointments are pretty much reappointments. This is just kind of summarizing what we did at our organization meeting for those who might not have been here. And
Well, I want to know that I'm your liaison for the planning board. I just want you to know I am.
yeah, that was one of the,
Vince is no longer I am.
that was one of the
That's why I...
resolutions made here.
Okay.
Okay, yes.
And I'm the liaison for zoning too, Lyle.
Planning, zoning, seniors and youth.
And seniors,
You're busy.
and youth.
Cover all the bases.
Both ends of it.
Well, Counselor Arnold is doing code enforcement in buildings. Haggerty is doing assessors and constable. Counselor Greco is doing highway, buildings, and justices. And I will do the districts. And is there anything else you wanted to?
So if you got a problem, come to me, okay? Boy, have you got your work.
Is there any public comment this evening? Anyone who has concerns or questions or whatever they would like?
No, I want to congratulate Lynn in the highway department. I've seen some mailbox being put back up, and what a tremendous job. And I called Lynn the other day, and they did a great job. Didn't I call you, Lynn? They did a great job. It was hard to see mailboxes with all these.
As a comment from me, I'd like to say that that I'm thankful for the dedication of the guys we have over there, because they ended up having to work twice on Christmas Day They worked New Year's Eve, they worked all day New Year's Day, and it makes my job so much easier to have people who are willing to come in and dedicated to their job, and I just wanted to thank them. Talking to them.
We have a good highway department.
I think they're doing an excellent job, and
I got my bragging medal on tonight.
Next month it'll be something.
She's got an inverse of that button. There's a bragging side and there's another B side.
Hey, very seldom in this mood, you know.
is there anyone who had any comments, sir?
I wanted to ask a question as to, I didn't see the advertisement for the planning board position. I was wondering what the deadline was for the application.
We are still accepting applications. We
Yeah.
did have it
We
in
just
once or
resubmitted it.
twice.
We had it
I
in
can't
twice,
remember what
and
the
no,
most
there was no
recent-
application. There were no applications.
I would say it's open.
Apparently our board didn't know.
Well, it has been in.
It has been in.
Oh, yeah, it's quite a while ago.
Twice.
Back
Under
in-
job opportunities. That's maybe why you
That's why
didn't
we
see it.
didn't see it then.
We get better response there.
Oh, so we put not
But we
anymore.
do have a couple of people who've indicated interest, so.
Is it going back in this time again? No?
Okay. If there's no further comment, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye.
Good.